Hey everyone, this is Julian from Memory Cards, and I'm here with Jake today.
Yo, it's Jake. What's up?
And we are going to give our first impressions on South Park The Fractured Butthole, which just came out today.
Yeah, I've been extremely excited for this game for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been following its development cycle, I guess, since the Stick of Truth.
Yeah, it had a big development cycle, longer than usual, and delayed multiple times. I think this game was originally supposed to come out in 2016, and
in
then
December.
and then was delayed all through 2017. There was talk of it being released earlier this year, around summertime, and it was delayed and delayed and delayed, and finally we get it now in October 2017.
Yeah, I was pretty bummed, hearing about it, getting delayed
Yeah.
countless times.
Well, it sucks to hear that any game that you're looking forward to is going to get delayed, and then to have it happen consistently, and what happened with this game, and then when that happens, it just puts in your mind that there's something wrong with the game.
Exactly.
So when a game continually gets delayed, you keep thinking it's like, okay, well, there's obviously something wrong with the game, so they have to fix it. It's not something that with the hope that it's going to make the game better, right? And have a complete full game, unlike some of the other games that are released today that it's like half a game, and then you got to wait a few months for the DLC to complete the game, Battlefront style.
We are glad to say that so far, around roughly 2 hours into the game, it has delivered completely.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's pretty much what we expected it to be, which is an extension of Stick of Truth, the first game, with a lot of new mechanics and just a general update on the core of the first game.
Yeah.
A big draw to the first game is that it looked exactly like the cartoon. It looks exactly like the TV show. So,
and this one does as well.
Yeah, it does as well. And so, I mean, that's a part of the reason why these games are so popular, is because South Park is a huge deal. It's been on the air forever, and it has millions of fans around the world. Similarly to The Simpsons. And while there have been tons of Simpsons games littered throughout the course of video game history, South Park is a franchise that hasn't seen that many games on consoles, in PC.
They've had a few here and there that were like mediocre little Xbox Live Arcade games, but this and Stick of Truth are fantastic, really. Like they're honestly just like the TV show.
Yeah, and that's what people wanted. Of course the general fan consensus is, if you can make something look exactly like the thing that we love, we're going to play it, right? So that's what happened with Stick of Truth, and that's the case here with Fractured Butthole. Yeah. So this game is out now, and if you haven't played Stick of Truth, just a quick overview. These games are a very light RPG. The first game was like pretty strictly turn-based, which means it functions much like games like Pokemon, where you have, or Final Fantasy. A lot of the Final Fantasy games are turn-based, where you take turns launching attacks at your enemy until they're defeated or you're defeated. So this follows that concept, but it also
amps it
changes
up
a bit. Yeah.
So this one, I like to say it's more like a like Fire Emblem or XCOM light game, because it has the grid section where you can choose to move your characters per each turn. Like it's turn based, but like you can also move your characters, which is it just adds another element to the game.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really like these type of like tactical RPGs. I think they're kind of underrated. And what I really like about this game is that when you are on your turn and you do get to move your character, what a lot of tactical RPGs do is they they show you where you can move in your grid, but they don't really give you the ability to actually move there until you commit yourself to doing it. Like a good example is this Mario Rabbids game that just came out. When you're on your turn and you're controlling one of your characters, you can visualize where your character is going to be using the grid and your cursor, but you don't actually see your character move there until you commit your character to doing it. But in this game, it's really cool because you're in your grid and you can move like maybe 3 or 4 spaces in a square, and you can actually just free roam in that area. You can just move your character freely about, which is really neat, and I think it adds a level of controllability that is very welcome. You feel more in control, I think, even in the battle.
So once again, like, the combat is quite simple in this one, but there's just a little bit more to do. It does get a little bit harder as you move on. Like I was told, I read online a few places said to move the difficulty straight up to the hardest one because the game is just incredibly easy. And I'm still finding it pretty easy on these earlier fights, at least so far. But
it's definitely doing a good job of hand-holding and a good job of teaching you the mechanics, especially for someone who is maybe just a fan of the show and a casual gamer who doesn't have much experience playing RPGs or tactical games like this.
It'll be easy for them to get into.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is for... I also feel like they have to do this because it'll be for fans, who, like you said, aren't big gamers. That'll be like, oh shit, South Park, like they made a video game. I'm gonna have to play this. It's for people like that. But I just wish that they would add like an even harder difficulty for people who are big, gamers.
Yeah, who have spent more time playing this type of game, RPG wise, and do have the skills already necessary to play the game at a high degree of difficulty. But so I guess what we should talk about now is the first game, Stick of Truth, followed a very like a fantasy setting. It was kind of like a Lord of the Rings inspired story, and this game is based on the Coon and Friends plot from the cartoon show, which is all like superhero based. So they've replaced all the things from Stick of Truth that were in relation to like a traditional fantasy RPG like World of Warcraft or something, and now everything is based very similar to like a City of Heroes type game where you can choose your character to be a...
One thing, I did really enjoy how they kind of ease you into switching from the, the Lord of the Rings stuff to the superhero stuff.
Yeah, that was really good.
Because it was really cool. For the first, I think 20 minutes, you're just playing, they're getting you used to the, the gameplay again. And then you get to play the Stick of Truth stuff, and then it just I don't want to spoil it, but it's really funny how it happens to switch over.
Yeah. So do you watch South Park, the show still?
Yeah.
So for me, South Park was a show I watched a ton when I was younger. I think I've watched probably from the first season to maybe season 8 or 9, every episode. And then it started to peter off, and I would watch occasionally, I think I about a year ago, I bought seasons 15 through 17, just because I felt like I had a moment where I was like, oh man, I remember South Park's so good, I need to go watch some of the more recent stuff, and those aren't the most recent, but anyway, so for me, I never have actually watched any of the show that covers the Coon and Friends stuff. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen everything pretty much that they've ever made.
Oh, okay.
A few times actually too, and it lives up to those few arcs, I guess, in the series. It's definitely very similar to how it is in the show.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can see that a lot of people in forums and stuff are happy with the way that they handled that, because I think the Coon and Friends saga throughout the show, has been one of the more popular story arcs, and one of the few story arcs in South Park that have gone on for more than a few episodes. I think that some of the arcs of that have gone upwards of like 4 straight episodes back to back that are direct sequels to each other. So but yeah, I mean, the humor so far has been really good. It's been really strong. I feel like some of the references early on are product of it being delayed. Like, they have a fidget spinner gag like really early on in the game, and that's something
definitely
that
wouldn't have been in there. No
way. Like, this game has been in development for probably
like
three or 4 years now, and that must have been a gag that they threw in recently, because the whole fidget spinner thing is like a recent thing. So they have like a fidget spinner gag right in the first hour of the game, and the humor is really, really strong, as it always is with South Park. Very entertaining, and what I also really like is that the story it's not like forcing it upon you. A lot of the story early on is being told through small cutscenes, and I think like right from the beginning of the game, you have immediate control over your character, and you spend the first hour and a half of the beginning tutorial section mostly in control of your character, which is a really nice feeling compared to a lot of games. I mean, the general feeling in most games these days is that the first hour is like a lot of cutscene and a lot of heavy tutorial where you don't really feel in control. So it's really cool that they let you kind of take the reins right from the beginning.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not slogged down or anything. You don't get bored.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, how much of Stick of Truth did you play? Did you play?
I beat it.
Oh, okay. So, I was the same. And compared to Stick of Truth, how do you feel like this game really is stacking up? Do you feel like it's a worthy successor? Do you think people who enjoyed the first game are going to enjoy this?
Yeah. I really don't think you could dislike it if you enjoyed the first one. I just don't see how that would even be possible. It's basically like the first one, but everything is amped up to 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially exactly what a sequel should be, really.
Yeah,
they
take everything that made the game great and just make it even better.
Yeah, and just expand on that. And
I have encountered a few issues so far. I don't know if you've noticed them, but I've had a few issues where, like, I always put subtitles on my games. I just find it easier, and sometimes the subtitles just wouldn't show up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've also had a few issues where, a character would be speaking and then their audio would just stop.
Oh, that's really strange. I didn't encounter any of that.
Yeah, maybe it's just my friggin' luck, but I don't know.
So far, game has run really smooth.
Yeah.
They capture the show's essence really well, and
yeah, it really is like it's playing like you're playing the show.
Yeah, and I mean that's what everyone said with the first game, and it's going to continue with this game. Is the constant theme is going to be like people are going to be saying this feels like you're playing an episode of South Park, where you're in control.
Yeah, I feel like if somebody came into your house or something and watched you play, they would be like, wait, is this the show? Like, if they weren't, none the wiser.
100%. So yeah, I mean, that's those are our thoughts right now. I'm pretty excited to get into this game. I think the first game was pretty decently long.
Yeah.
So this is I'm ready to spend a few weeks playing it.
Yeah, hopefully, especially with all the other games that are coming out this month and next month. Holy God.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks guys for watching. If you liked the video, give us a like, subscribe, and be on the lookout. We're going to have a ton of content coming out in the next couple months. There's a lot of games coming out, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks, guys.
All right. Peace.